The New England Patriots will lose to the Houston Texans this Sunday in the divisional round matchup, and it comes down to just a few simple things. Number one, the New England Patriots are highly overrated in many categories, which we will be getting into. And the Houston Texans legitimately have the number one defense in the NFL, and they have an actually underrated offense. And people who just want to look at last week's game, last week's outlier versus the Steelers, really haven't been watching what's been going on with this Texans offense. We'll be getting into both in this video. Now, first thing we're going to get into is the underrated Texans offense. This offense started off the year really bad. They had a new offensive coordinator, new scheme. Their offensive line was playing absolutely terrible to start the season. And ever since the 49ers game this year, where Trent Brown became the starting right tackle for this team, this offensive line got much better. The whole offense started playing better. And also later on, Woody Marks became the starting running back for this team as opposed to Nick Chubb, which also made a huge difference, which we will be getting into. But since the 49ers game, including the 49ers game, this Texans team has been averaging almost 26 points per game, which is not bad at all. That is actually very good. I believe that would put them top 10 in offense. Now, their average for the year is 23 a game, so you can see that from on the 49ers game, averaging 26 points a game really brought their average up, because I believe they were huddling more around 19-20 going into that 49ers game. Now, I told you Woody Marks became the starting running back for the Texans later on in the year. His first start came week 10 against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and Woody Marks has been averaging, including last week's playoff game, 3.8 yards per carry. That is crazy. Oh, and by the way, since he started, the Texans have not lost a game. They are undefeated with Woody Marks as the starting running back. Now, I told you the Texans defense is legit, and this is going to prove it. The Texans defense on this list, these are the top offenses in the league. The Texans have played the Los Angeles Rams, they've played the Seattle Seahawks, they've played the Buffalo Bills, they've played the Jacksonville Jaguars, they've played the Indianapolis Colts, San Francisco, Baltimore, Denver, and Pittsburgh. They've played all of these offenses. That is a lot of these offenses on the list. Who have the New England Patriots played as far as their defense against these offenses is concerned? Well, they have not played really any of these teams except they've played Buffalo twice, they've played the Ravens, and then they've played the Cincinnati Bengals. Those are the only ones they've played of all of these top offenses in the league. By the way, one of the games, the New England Patriots gave up 35 to the Buffalo Bills, which is higher than their season average. And then I believe they gave up 24 to the Ravens, which is right at their season average. And I believe they gave up 20 to the Bengals. I'm going off memory here. But those are all around or better than their season averages. So their defense really didn't do anything against these offenses to hold them back from what their season averages are. Now let's compare that to what the Texans have done against these offenses. Now remember, the Rams have been scoring 30.5 points per game. This Texans defense held them to 14. They held the Buffalo offense to 19. The first time the Texans played the Jags this season, they held them to 17. The second time was the comeback win where they gave up 29 points. But Sean, you're going to say, Sean, they gave up 29 to the Jaguars? This is actually a number that's not actually legitimately on the defense. If you watch this game, Davis Mills threw an interception on their side of the field, very first play of the game, gave up an automatic field goal. The very next kickoff, the Texans returner fumbled it, gave the Jacksonville Jaguars the ball right back in the red zone again. They got another quick touchdown. They went up 10-0 pretty much immediately. None of that was the defense's fault. And then there was also a kick return in this game that went for a touchdown for the Jaguars. So that's 17 points that are not on this defense of the 29. So realistically, the Texans defense really only gave up 12 points to the Jaguars that game. They gave up 18 to the Broncos, and this again was with Davis Mills playing at quarterback. Keep that in mind. Texans were winning this game before C.J. Stroud went out. They gave up 6, as we just saw, to the Steelers, who I believe scored 21 on the Patriots. And then when Daniel Jones was playing, this was when the Colts were still healthy, They only gave up 16 to the Colts. So as you can see, this Texans defense shuts down most of the teams that they play against, these high-powered offenses. They've all got below their season averages when facing this Texans defense. Now, some people might also bring up the Seattle game that Texans had against Seattle. I believe Seattle scored 27 that game. The Texans offense, that was the beginning of the year when I said the Texans offense was playing horrible. Most of those scores were on the Texans offense. If you actually go back and look at the stats, Texans had 4 turnovers against that Seattle Seahawks offense and a defensive touchdown with a fumble, scoop and score in the end zone. So yes, back to this graphic. The Patriots have not really played any of the top offenses in the league. Again, outside of Buffalo, who they get one game they gave up 35 points to them. It's just the Patriots offense or defense is overrated based off of who they've played. That matters when looking at final season statistics. It matters who you played. The Patriots have had the easiest schedule since 1999. And then they come into the playoffs and they face the most fraudulent quarterback, Justin Herbert, over the last 5 years in the playoffs, who completely disappears every time he reaches a playoff game. And by the way, he had protecting him the worst offensive line in the league, the most injured offensive line. The 32nd ranked offensive line is what the Patriots got to go against this last week. Now you want to look at how the Patriots offense might be overrated, and it's kind of the same story. They really haven't faced any of the top 10 defenses in points per game this season. In fact, they've only faced one, and it was the Chargers last week. Yeah, the Chargers are ranked number 9 in points per game, and as you saw, they held the Patriots to 16 points last week. Now they're going to go against the number 1 defense. And yes, I see Houston's number 2 in the points per game graphic, but anyone who knows ball knows they're really number 1. They were number 1 all season, and it took the Texans sitting their starters in the final week of the season, giving up 30 points to allow Seattle to take the lead in points per game by 3 points by the end of the season. Everyone who's watched knows the Texans have led in points per game and yards per game all season. Now we know this Texans defense is legit because of all the figures against the offenses that they've played that I've just shown you. Now, you do see New England is sitting there at number 4, but we showed you that they've really only played the Bills. In one of those games, they gave up 35 points. They gave up 24 to the Ravens. They gave up 21 to the Steelers. So this 18.8 points per game graphic that you're seeing here is really overinflated, but based off of the terrible offenses that the Patriots got to go against this season. And guys, I'm not making all this up. You can go fact check all this stuff yourself. Go look at how easy the Patriots' schedule was. I mean, they played the Bills twice. They played the Steelers, who they lost to. Those are the only 3 games that they've had in the entire regular season against teams above 500. And they really faced hardly any top offenses. They not until the playoffs faced a top 10 defense in points per game. This is maybe the most fraudulent schedule I've ever seen, and an overhyped team I've ever seen based off of their offensive and defensive rankings. Like they really aren't that, in my opinion. Now I could be humbled, I could be wrong on Sunday, but I'm pretty confident in what I am seeing and what I am predicting. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let's go Texans, baby.